The bells of the Roman Catholic Cathedral of Timisoara rang low that night, like a dying breath sleeping from the chest of the city itself. A thick fog curled around the spires and rolled over the domeplatz, muffling footsteps and swallowing light. Johanna put her shawl closer, the wool scratching against her throat. The cold wasn't just in the air. It was in the stones beneath her boots, in the glances of the beggars huddled near the candlelit church steps. She had just attended evening mass, but the warmth of the sanctuary hadn't followed her out. Something had been wrong from the moment she stepped inside. The prayer sounded hollow. The crucifix looked older, darker. The priest's voice distant, like it was echoing from underground. As she turned onto a side street, her ears caught a sound. A violin, faint, fragile, not joyful, not mournful, but something in between. It was a melody suspended in grief, in longing, notes bending like shadows against the stone. She stopped. Her heart knocked twice against her ribs. She looked around. Empty windows stared back. The music came from the left, from an inner courtyard she knew well, the Berchtold mansion, a faded vine-choked relic of a time when the city shimmered with aristocratic grandeur. No one lived there now. No one dared. But the gate was open. It creaked as she pushed it gently. Inside, the courtyard was cloaked in fog. Ferns spilled from cracked planters. The fountain in the center was dry, but still bore the stain of long evaporated water. And from the far end, beneath an arched alcove, a figure stood. Motionless, back turned, a violin cradled beneath its chin. Johanna didn't call out. She simply stepped forward. The music wrapped around her like smoke. It felt alive, breathing. The figure didn't move, not at first. Just played, bow gliding across strings, each note pressing into her skin. She couldn't explain it, but she felt her chest tighten. Her breath grew shallow. Then the figure stopped. The bow arm dropped. It turned. And there was Ludwig. Not a dream, not a memory, not a ghost. He stood solid, whole. His hair dark and tousled, his mouth a faint smile that never reached his eyes. And those eyes, black, hollow, unfathomably deep. Johanna took a step back, but couldn't lift her feet. Ludwig extended a hand, and she took it. She didn't want to. She wanted to scream, to run, but something, a weight, a silence, pressed against her will. Her hand reached out like it belonged to someone else. Their fingers touched. The music began again, but Ludwig no longer held the violin. He had followed her. Karl never trusted easily, not even Johanna, especially not after the knocking, after the figure in the dark, after the thing with Ludwig's face that stared at them with lifeless eyes. He told himself it was worry that brought him here, love, but his fists were clenched. His jaw locked. From the street, he watched her enter the courtyard. He waited, long enough to be sure she wasn't coming back. He pushed through the gate. Every step felt wrong, like walking into a dream you couldn't wake from. The walls of the mansion loomed with ivy-covered stone. Cold seeped up through his boots. And then he heard it, the music. Upstairs, through a cracked window, he saw candlelight, movement, shadows. He crept to the side of the house, found a broken garden trellis, climbed. His boot slipped on the ledge, but he caught the windowsill, peered inside. There they were, Johanna and Ludwig, embracing, kissing. Karl's stomach churned. Rage ignited in his chest like dry paper. But beneath it, fear, because Johanna's face was blank. Her hands moved without grace, without thought. And Ludwig's eyes were still black. When Karl burst through the window, his shout caught in his throat. They turned to him, slowly, in unison, and both had hollow eyes, identical, black, endless. Like puppets turned to stare at a flame. Karl stepped back. His heel caught the edge of a floorboard. The music continued, but the violin lay on the bed. No one was playing it. Karl looked to the door. It was gone. In its place, brick. Solid, old, seamless with the wall. He turned to the window. The glass was no longer broken. Just a smooth pane, holding in the candlelight like a sealed jar. He was trapped. Johanna and Ludwig stepped forward. One step in perfect rhythm, and the dry whisper poured out, layered and strange. You stole from the dead, Karl, and now the dead steal back. The violin screamed, a single high note that stabbed the air. Karl fell to his knees, covering his ears. The walls paused, the light flickered, shadows bent into twisted forms, arms, mouths, screaming faces. He looked up. They were gone. The room was empty. Only the violin remained, resting gently on the pillow, still playing. They found Karl 3 days later, curled in a corner of the Bechtold mansion, his hair turned white, his hands shredded from clawing the walls. He spoke only one word, Ludwig. Johanna was never seen again, but sometimes late at night, passers-by swear they hear a violin playing from inside the mansion, and if you enter the courtyard, if the gate is open, you may see a figure playing in the dark, back turned, waiting.